Today I'm going to talk about a subject that I believe so many people are telling themselves lies around. And that is how much emotional confidence they portray and say they have versus how much they actually have. I'm fortunate enough to have coached and be connected to so many entrepreneurs, business leaders, simply put, people who on the front end paint a perception and have an identity on the front end of someone who is pretty much bulletproof, has all of their shit together emotionally. And look, many do, and many are further ahead than others. However, so many people are telling themselves lies. And I've been that guy too. So if this is you right now, there's no judgment. And I want to share with you in this podcast episode 3 things to be aware of and focus on if you want to live with more emotional confidence than what you currently have. I, for many years, used my body as a mask, as a blanket for the internal confidence I did not have. The problem with that is it's exhausting. Whether you use your body, your business, money, front end status, your social media, whatever it is, to portray how confident you feel versus how much you actually feel, you'll come to a point or have periods within your week where everything just feels emotionally heavy. Things will feel off internally when you tell yourself lies of how confident you are or how confident you tell other people you are versus how confident you actually are. It was only when I did the inner work, I took responsibility and I did the 3 things I want to talk about today. Did I close the gap with how physically confident I was and how emotionally confident I became or have become? The reason this subject is so close to my heart is I believe as a man who's recently become a father to a beautiful little girl, if you do not have genuine, undeniable, unwavering confidence as a man, everything in your life and everyone you love in your life will be affected. During challenging times in business, you'll be reactive, you'll be too emotional in a negative way, you cannot lead to the best of your capabilities, you can't sell if your role or business involves selling, which I'm sure most does. And then on a personal front, if your emotional, internal confidence is off, it is impossible to bring the best of you to your relationship. And if you want your children to live with more confidence, they're only going to be able to see an example of what's possible when it comes to living with confidence of what you show them. Not what you say you have, but what you show them. As they get older, they're going to feel that. So if you're a man in particular right now, and you know you're at that point in your life, whether you're in your late 30s, 40s, and 50s, and just something feels off, irrelevant of how hard you work, how much money you have, or what you portray on the front end, there's a strong chance you need to do the inner work. You need to do the inner work. Like I just said, I'm very fortunate enough to coach so many people who all have the same hours we do, 168 hours in a week. Got the business, got the partner, got the children. And the distinct difference in those who tend to make more money, live with more freedom, and genuinely are more emotionally content in their relationships and have a more positive influence on their children, they're emotionally confident. So I'm going to share with you now 3 things that you may be aware of but hopefully I'll give you a different perspective on at least one of them. When it comes to building emotional confidence, I think at the heart and the foundation of that is your emotional well-being. You cannot be emotionally confident if your emotional well-being is off. All of us have emotional wounds, emotional trauma that we come into this life with, and then we have pivotal moments that highlight those emotional traumas. Me too. And they resurface from time to time. But if we're not aware of how we feel, and we're on this constant hamster wheel of work and focus on other people's agendas, in this reactive state, which so many people are just now, then there'll just be multiple moments in our week, month, and year where we can't quite put a finger on why things aren't going well. Your emotional well-being is the root cause, or the emotional well-being is the first part of the puzzle to improving your habits and behavior. If we can't control our emotions when we're stressed, tired, or in high pressure situations, we will lose control with our thoughts as they follow our emotions. And when we lose control of our thoughts, that impacts our beliefs, which impacts our habits and behavior. If we can't control our emotions, or the intensity of negative emotions that we don't want to feel become too high, that will affect our thoughts and beliefs, and then that impacts our habits and behavior. And ultimately what we do, whether it's down to us training or not, eating healthy or not, or making decisions that are aligned to the things we want, will be affected. So if you are at a place right now where you just can't quite put a finger on why you are not following through on what you said you would do, whether it's in business, whether it's with your health, or maybe you've just got patterns that keep resurfacing in your relationships that you just don't want to keep resurfacing, that'll be down to not being aware of your emotional well-being, and more importantly, the emotional patterns and feelings that keep resurfacing, and you don't know why they keep resurfacing. So what to do is check in with how you feel more regularly. It's why I'm such a big fan of journaling, evaluating how you feel. I think as men and entrepreneurs in particular, we're very, very good at being concerned with how our clients feel, how our team feels, how our children feel, how our partners feel. But then we ignore ourselves. And I see this so often in the clients we work with. They put other people's agendas before their own. They go above and beyond to serve their clients so they feel good. Because ultimately, people are paying them and they want to deliver and over-deliver on those expectations, which makes them feel good, who they're serving. But so often, as founders and entrepreneurs in particular, that comes at the expense of you as the founder or the entrepreneur, your own feelings. And if we ignore them, we'll be suppressing emotions, which create like a combustion chamber internally that reaches boiling point, and then we have a knee-jerk reaction when it comes to our habits and behavior. We self-destruct, we self-sabotage. I see it over and over again. We give ourselves the dregs of our leftover energy, not just physical energy, but emotional energy. So check in with yourself on a daily basis, weekly basis as a minimum. How am I feeling? What emotions are controlling me? And how can I express those emotions more and do something about it? Do more things that make me feel good, as opposed to just focusing on what makes other people feel good. Okay. You cannot be emotionally confident if we ignore how we feel. We'll just keep repeating these patterns over and over again. Secondly, is our belief systems. Our beliefs ultimately shape our identity, our emotional identity. As I said at the start of the podcast, a lot of us use a mask whether it's our business or the fact we're a dad or a partner, as the driving force when it comes to our identity. But if we ignore the beliefs, our inner beliefs, then we will never truly shape our identity to the one that we want. And I don't think there's a person I've ever coached that deep down in their heart, if they could wave a magic wand, would want to have emotional confidence as a part of their identity. Like many people join Built to Last because they want to drop 20 pounds of fat initially. They want to look a certain way physically. They want to be fit. They want to be fast. They want to be lean. They want health and longevity. Deep down, they want confidence. They want to be emotionally confident that they can feel a certain way more frequently and more consistently than maybe what they currently do or did before they joined. But you can only be as confident as the beliefs that you have, which is why so many people are being failed by poor coaches and the short-term fix, which doesn't work. We have to develop our beliefs, expand our beliefs continually. But if I was to say to you now, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 with how confident you feel internally, externally, but internally in particular, in any scenario, if that's anywhere from 7 or below, there's a strong chance that it's our belief systems that are controlling what we do and how we subconsciously think without realizing it. Ask yourself now, what beliefs are holding you back? What beliefs are not serving you any purpose in relation to the person you're trying to become, maybe the business you're trying to build, or the shape you're trying to live with? What do you believe about yourself that just simply isn't true? What evidence do you have that that's true? I've spoke to so many people who have either joined Built to Last or potentially joined Built to Last and just fell short of where they wanted to go, or if they didn't join because of their belief systems, because they've conditioned bullshit beliefs that they cannot get in great shape, stay in great shape. They cannot become the person in their heart they really want to become because of their belief systems. That might be down to what other people have said to them growing up, whether it's their parents, someone at school, the first pivotal moment where that weren't part of the script and they went into their shell and they believed that belief of what that person said, or maybe what they said to themselves. And again, there's zero judgment on that, because I too was that little boy from a council estate. When I got the opportunity to sign for Manchester United at the age of 13, I didn't, because I didn't believe I was worth playing for Manchester United. Irrelevant of the mask I portrayed up to the age of 13, of being a great footballer and telling everyone I was going to play for Manchester United, when that moment happened, my internal beliefs told me otherwise. And they controlled me for years. There's one thing establishing a belief, but if you condition those beliefs over and over again, that will become who you are. And no matter how hard you try, your habits that you don't really want to do, you will keep doing until you create a new belief that is aligned to the person and the confidence you want to live with. Just as we have established certain beliefs and condition those beliefs over and over again, the good news is you can decondition a belief, create a new one, and reestablish that belief and condition it over and over and over again by doing the habits that will confirm that that belief is a part of you now. I guarantee you've done it in business. Guarantee it. Every single person who is in a great position in their business or within a company, at some point, they would have had a limiting belief that they couldn't build that business, they couldn't earn that money, they couldn't go to that position within that company, they would have had a limiting belief, an internal story that said, I'm not worth it. I don't think I can do this. And then you did. Then you did it over and over again. Then you grew in confidence. Then you conditioned those new beliefs, those new behaviors aligned to that position and that status. And if you've done it in that area, I promise you, you can do it in any area. Look at the evidence in your life right now of all the times that you had a limiting belief and then you pushed through it. You created a new belief. You were brave. And then eventually that new belief became who you are and what you do and how you live. Everyone has limitations, whether it's in business, within a relationship, or as a father or mother, that they had to push through. And I just believe so many people have done this in business or as a parent because you have no choice but to lean into those limitations. Because as a consequence, if you don't build the business or make the money, you can't provide for your family. You can't buy and do nice things that you think will make you happy. Or if you don't push through those limiting beliefs as a father or a mother, there's a consequence on your children who you love. So you do whatever it takes to push through. You can do the same with your physical health. You can do the same in any single area. So look at the evidence that you already have, that you are someone who can push through limitations, create a new belief, even if it's just 1 yard in front of your current belief. And then you just condition that new belief over and over again until it becomes the norm. Watch how much confidence you have when you do that. The areas of life that you currently feel really, really confident of and in right now are because you pushed through limitations, you didn't quit, you didn't give up, and then no matter what hiccups were on that path or that road or that part of your life, you just kept going. Thirdly, if you want to live with genuine emotional confidence, you need consistency. One of the greatest confidence builders is doing what you said you would do over and over and over again. There's two parts to consistency, and I believe they work with each other. If you want to be emotionally confident, you've got to be physically consistent. But if you want to be physically consistent, you've got to be emotionally consistent, because your state drives your decisions and shapes your habits, and that's going to shape how physically confident you feel. But you cannot build confidence without consistency. I'm yet to coach anybody in nearly 2 decades of being a coach who isn't consistent. Are you going to have blips just like me, where you doubt yourself sometimes, you have insecurities? Of course, I have them too. But if you are so consistent, even the self-doubt and insecurities won't be strong enough to override the stack of evidence that you are a consistent individual, that you follow through on what you said you would do, you keep your promises. So just to recap, be aware of your emotional well-being, how you feel. Identify the emotions that you don't want to feel. Write them down. Express them. Notice the ones that are surfacing and resurfacing too often. Get them out your head. Your belief systems. Evaluate all the times in your life that you had really, really strong limitations, that you didn't think you could do something. What did you say to yourself? What did you do to push through? And lastly, be consistent. Be consistent. I just believe that you cannot live with true emotional confidence, or more of that more frequently, if you're not aware of how you feel, or you care more so about how others feel versus how you feel. You ignore your belief systems and you're not consistent. But just watch how much stronger you feel as a businessman, as a father, as a partner, if you really work on your emotional confidence. Because if you don't, it'll cost you in pivotal moments and you won't be able to put your finger on why. But the magic happens when you really work on your emotional confidence. Every single area of your life will get better. I'm yet to coach anyone who has came to us struggling with their confidence levels and not gone on to achieve great things in life and be more content because they're emotionally confident. Okay. And this is something we work really, really hard on inside Built to Last. So if you are out of sync just now, you're going through a tough time in business, maybe challenges in relationships, or your kids are growing up and you're thinking, how can I handle this better? Do some of the things I've shared today and watch the magic happen. And if you need help with that, this is exactly what we do inside Built to Last. We're not a PT program. We're not just a fat loss program, because that doesn't last if you don't do the things I've shared with you today. We want to give you confidence through every season of life. So no matter what curveballs you face, no matter what season we're in of life, whether it's as a father, a partner, a startup business, we're growing a business, or we've got injuries, or we've got curveballs, we're moving countries, you need emotional confidence to do that. And this is what I can help you with. Okay. So thank you so much as always, and I'll see you next time.